jobs. So we will bring our jobs back, Sean. We're going to bring our jobs. As sure as you're sitting there, we are going to bring our jobs back into this country for the first time. A lot of jobs. 28,000 jobs. Great construction jobs. And maybe a person will buy fewer cars over the course of a lifetime. Who cares? We have to bring back our jobs, Chris. We have to do it. We have no choice.
I'm making this video in response to President Donald Trump's hard-on for tariffs, on the premise that he's protecting American jobs, or attempting to create American jobs. I don't know. All of these magatards seem to think that they know everything about economics just because they're not Bernie Sanders, which doesn't say much. Now, keep in mind that Henry Hazlitt debunks this myth in economics in one lesson, that tariffs do the exact opposite of protecting domestic jobs.
No shit, Sherlock.
Along with the fact that there's overwhelming evidence to support Hazlitt's claim. President Trump and all of his magatards think that trade wars are great. Meanwhile, Smoot-Hawley triggered retaliatory tariffs so bad that American farms and businesses lost ungodly amounts of overseas customers, which resulted in failing businesses and farm foreclosures, which then resulted in the bankruptcy of tens of thousands of banks. Yeah, trade wars sure kick ass. Even when reading Myth of the Robber Barons recently, there are numerous examples of where a tariff ended up holding back a business or an entrepreneur. It's one thing to impose tariffs because the government needs revenue, but to impose tariffs as a means of protecting American jobs? The fact that this is even debated is ridiculous. When you raise the price of a good or service, the demand for that product will go down. Sure, President Trump is attempting to save steel industry jobs by raising prices on overseas competition, but what about all of the American businesses and manufacturers that rely on cheap imported steel? Now those businesses have to raise their prices, which results in less consumer demand, which means less profit,
which means less fucking jobs!
Especially if other countries impose retaliatory tariffs like what happened with Smoot-Hawley, then that eliminates consumers and markets for other American industries.
Which means less fucking jobs!
Not to mention, if countries like China, Mexico, and Brazil begin to produce and create wealth as their citizens rise out of poverty due to outsourcing, that means that those people will have more money to spend on American-made products.
Which means more fucking jobs!
And apparently the EU and other countries are already considering retaliatory tariffs, but hey, Donald Trump is a businessman, and he's not a dumb Democrat nor a stupid socialist. So he knows what he's doing when it comes to the economy.
Nigga, get the fuck out of here.
And all this talk about trade deficits is fucking stupid. The idea of a trade deficit is based on a zero-sum mentality. If I send $400 to Japan in exchange for a brand new PlayStation 4, an idiot like Donald Trump would like me to think that Japan got $400, well, I got absolutely nothing. Then Donald Trump would like to tell me that paying an extra 25% for the PlayStation 4 is good for the country. But this is all besides the point. First of all, it's not the government's responsibility to create jobs or to preserve jobs. Secondly, it's not even a business's responsibility to create jobs. Nobody has an obligation to give other people work. A business's top priority is to create wealth and turn profits. I hate to break it to all of you economic illiterates out there, but no profits means no businesses, which means
no fucking jobs!
Creating jobs for the sake of creating jobs is a total waste of time. Nobody orders an Uber for the sake of employing a driver. People order an Uber because they need to get somewhere. Consider the scene from Gran Torino, where Toad destroys Walt's property. Toad is a teenager and his family is poor, so they don't have the means to repay Walt other than giving Walt the obligation of giving Toad work to do. When Walt finds out that Toad has no worthwhile skills, Walt gives Toad the mundane task of counting birds. To sum things up, Toad needed a job, had no worthwhile skills, so his family put the burden on their neighbor to give Toad work. The result? A few birds got counted. Whoop-de-fucking-do. This is what happens when the government tries to create jobs. Some people are out of work, don't have the skill nor the ambition to find new skills, so people guilt voters into raising taxes on their neighbors so that the government can pay people to count birds. Or consider all of this hysteria over technology and robots phasing out jobs.
The result is human workers can fulfill more orders until robots develop the dexterity to replace them altogether.
Sleep tight.
Sleep tight.
We are essentially entering a new industrial revolution.
We're going to wipe out millions of jobs in the United States.
Well, how far we are going to go could easily be that everything that really can be automated.
I don't think it would be responsible to just let the consequences rip, and then we find that large numbers of people are displaced and miserable and angry and well-armed, and we just figure, well, let's see what happens.
So here's a terrifying story about how the machines are already coming for all the jobs. This is from Time in the AP. This robot will brew your coffee and serve you for $3. Yeah, we're fucked.
Yeah, fuck technology and robots in the future. We need to save jobs for people who are unwilling to change their careers. I wonder what all of these Luddites would say if Baymax from Big Hero 6 became a reality. A robot that can diagnose and heal most illnesses and ailments. Of course, this would drive down the cost of healthcare for many people, but what about all of the health-related jobs? What about all of the doctors and nurses and physicians and pharmacists? Shit, even the custodial staff and all the cafeteria cooks in the hospitals. They would all be out of a job. While we're at it, let's hold off on curing cancer. After all, according to the documentary Pink Ribbon Incorporated, breast cancer has become a multi-billion-dollar industry. Imagine all of the doctors, people that make pink t-shirts, cinematographers that make PSAs, and all the others who would be out of work if we cured this job-creating disease. If Baymax ever came into existence, all of these poor people would be out of work. Or think about buying music. Back in 1999, when I was a teenager, when I wanted to purchase a new album, I had to ride my bike, sometimes in shitty weather conditions, to a record store to wait in line just to spend $15 to $20 on a plastic circle. The whole ordeal would take at least 2 hours. 2018? All I need to do is open iTunes or Google Play on my phone or on my computer, and I can have the new album within minutes. Sure, the record store I used to shop at is now closed, and the people who worked there, along with the people that manufacture discs, lost their job, but fuck them. Buying music today takes much less of my time than it did in 1999, and my time is important. The hours that I save on buying music allows me to enjoy more of my life. Hell, the time I save on buying music gives me more time to work. The less time I spend on purchasing music means I have more time to make money. As Harry Binswanger once said, quote, "Capitalism is geared around creating values, not around creating things to do or livelihoods for the masses. A job is a task. Creating tasks is not a value. It's also, of course, a payment for doing that task. A job is a source of income for the person hired. Good for him. But that salary is a cost for the investor. Like all costs, a salary is something requiring justification. The justification is in terms of the outlay generating profit. A newly added job is good only to the extent that it produces more value for the owners than they have to pay out in wages. It's not job creation that should be our focus, but profit.
Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe!
What are people to do if their desires for new technology and new gadgets and better service and cheaper products and more leisure time results in others losing out on work? Absolutely nothing. That's what. Should I feel sorry for the struggling cab driver when I use Lyft after a night of drinking? Should I stop renting movies on Amazon Prime just so that the manager of my local video store doesn't have to close shop? Scientists and innovators are currently working on ways to grow meat in laboratories and 3D print food. Should we all tell these scientists and inventors to stop before they put countless farmers, ranchers, fishermen, and butchers out of work? When Amazon finally makes drone delivery a reality, does Jeff Bezos need to find birds for all of the UPS and FedEx drivers to count?
Absolutely fucking not.
Heaven forbid someone learn a new skill or find work in another industry. And this shit happens all the time. Let's bail out failing auto companies so we can preserve millions of jobs for people who build cars that nobody wants to buy. Let's give tax dollars to a local billionaire to build a new football stadium because, hey, it will create jobs for the community. Or how about when the Keystone XL pipeline was being discussed? One of the biggest debates about the project was whether or not it created enough jobs. By what standard does an industry not create enough jobs? Business, innovation, and technology should not be measured by whether or not jobs are created, and should not be scrutinized if jobs are phased out. If technology is raising the standard of living and allowing people to work less, then we should celebrate it. If automation and outsourcing drives down the prices of goods and services, thereby enabling people to rise out of poverty, then we should welcome it with open arms. This idea that people aren't allowed to engage in trade or run a business unless it creates enough jobs or creates well-paying jobs by some arbitrary standard is fucking stupid.